welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. We live in a world where everyday conversations have become urgent, and we're always available on demand. That's mostly because we become addicted to our smartphones. But the answer isn't to just turn them off. My guest today says there are ways to balance how you use technology so there's some calm in your life. Joining me now is Nancy Colier, author of The Power of Off, The Mindful Way to Stay Sane in a Virtual World. You're welcome.
Hello.
I think everybody's nuts. I think the world is going down the cliff with all of this technology, and I think we're all addicted. What do you say?
I am in your camp.
All right.
I am in a complete agreement. That's why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
I think we're living like addicts.
Right.
And the only difference between this addiction and any other addiction is we've all drunk the Kool-Aid. We're all in. And we have all the markers of addiction. Our lives are more and more revolving around our substance of choice, which is technology. When we try and cut down, we have withdrawal, anxious, agitated, depressed. The average person now checks their phone just under 200 times a day. I have fear that if I don't have my cell phone with me, the whole world is going to fall apart, and oh my God, the patient is not going to be able to get a hold of me in the hospital, and it's total fear. And I look back and I said, listen, back in the 1970s, I was also a doctor. We didn't have any cell phones. We barely had beepers that you had to look at a number and then get on some landline and call some operator. Yeah. So there was a hiatus of a good hour and a half before you got your medical message. Exactly. And nothing happened. Exactly.
And now I go to bed and say, where did I put the phone? Is the phone charged? And the same thing with my children. Where are you going? You know.
Panic.
It's a panic.
We're living really in a state of fight or flight all the time. We're living like that.
So your book, The Power of Off, The Mindful Way to Stay Sane in a Virtual World, you develop some techniques that should help us. Let's go over some of those.
So I break them down into three parts. Mm-hmm. The first part is just to start to become aware of how many times during the day you're checking.
Right.
Or you're using. Right. Or even that the thought appears to check, oh, I'm waiting on a line. I could check my phone.
Right.
Or I have 10 minutes to spare. I could shop for chandeliers. I don't need a chandelier, but I could shop for chandeliers. Whatever it is, whatever your particular addiction, mine was checking email. So just start to notice how often and start to play with refraining. Start to see how that feels. What would I have to feel if I don't check right now? What am I trying to get away from by checking?
Right.
Right? The second part is the behavior changes, and we have to be willing to do that, which is very simple. I wrote the book to find freedom in technology, not from it, right? We have to, this is a bit more like an eating disorder, let's say, than a drinking problem. We have to find a way to be healthy in it. So am I willing, for example, to not use my phone the first half hour I wake up in the morning? Just to start the day with what really matters to me.
Right.
Really, what do I want this day to be about? To not use the last hour before we go to bed, so I have good sleep, right? I'm a psychotherapist, to not leave my phone on in the sessions.
The problem is when we say to somebody, let's say who's a smoker, okay, let's try the abstinence. You go from 10 cigarettes a day to 3 cigarettes a day. Let's do the patch, and then hopefully the patch will win away. Okay, so that's a typical format to stop smoking. But we also say, do the buddy system. In other words, don't hang out with smokers.
Right.
Hang out with non-smokers. Where are you going to find a person who's not addicted to a cell phone today? And they shame you for it. Because if you say, hey, you didn't answer your texts, what's the matter with you? You don't like me?
Exactly. And
they
you should
shame
answer
you
immediately.
I don't want to call you back. I don't want to text you back.
Right. Exactly. Well, one thing I would say, right, I mean, and that's a really great point you're making, is that in the past or in other addictions, that excludes you from the club. And sooner or later, if you're drinking, eating, drugging, whatever it is, it's going to leave you out of the club. This gets you in the club.
Right.
This addiction, you're right there at the Genius Bar with your sparkly case. You're good to go. So what it really, though, is starting to take ownership. That's what it is, of our own lives.
So you got to do it yourself.
You have to do it yourself.
Tell me quickly, again, the 30-day detox. What does that entail?
So what that starts, it starts with some very small behaviors, like when you're waiting online. Just try not using it. What we do is we go day by day, and you're adding little behaviors. When you're eating, don't have your phone out.
Right.
When you're walking on the street, don't hold your phone. What's so urgent? You need your phone in your hand.
Right.
When you are taking a walk in nature, feel the breeze. Be present where you are. Don't be walking on that country road looking for a place to take selfies so you look like somebody who enjoys nature. Enjoy it, right? So day by day, adding a small behavior. When you're cooking, don't be using. When you're sitting with a friend right here, don't have your phone right here, right? So all these mini behaviors that we practice, we add one every day for 30 days, and then we look at that whole period and we say, how did that feel? Right? We have to, that's the thing, we have to start taking ownership of what kind of life do we want to live?
Well, I think, and I'm going to give you an idea, and I want some credits for it, write a children's book, because I think we have to teach parents how to never get their kids addicted to cell phones, and perhaps through the techniques that you allude. You know, as soon as the kids having conversation about the 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I want my own cell phone, that the parents at least have some idea that maybe if they do implement this self-awareness and limitation of this technology, they'll see it as a technology, but not as an appendage of their personality, which is what we're creating nowadays. And you point that in your beautiful book, The Power of Off. Where can they get the book?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Online, books, stores, everywhere.
All right. Well,
we
thank
need
you.
it.
We need it.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, if we sell 25% of all the cell phone sales, you're going to be a very well-off author. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you have any health questions, tweet me at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.